Hello, my name is Jeff Jimiello, and today I'm going to talk about obedience, sacrifice, and investment. Let's do some definitions. First of all, obedience. Number one, the state or quality of being obedient. Okay, so. Two, the act or practice of obeying, dutiful, or submissive, compliant. Number three, a sphere of authority or jurisdiction, especially ecclesiastical, which actually is part of the book of that. There's a book in the Bible for that. I can never say a name right, but Eucharistes is the name of the book, and that's actually very interesting that there's a sphere of authority on that. But it kind of makes sense. It's about being obedient to what you need to do. Oddly enough, I do believe that the second one is the one we're looking at. The act of being obeying and dutiful and submissive compliant, as much as I don't like submissive compliance. But I do believe that that is the proper definition that we're going to use anyway. Then we got sacrifice. The offering of animal, plant, or human life, or some material possession to a deity, as in propitiation or homage. It got pretty dark. 2, the person, animal, or thing so offered. Still dark. 3, surrender or destruction of something prized. Dark but better. 4, the thing so surrendered or devoted. Feel better. 5, loss incurred in selling something below its value. So you sell a house, you sell a car below what it's worth just to get rid of it. So you sacrificed your car or your house. Okay. Oh no, it's a rough call. I'm definitely going to go with surrender or destruction of something prized, even though I don't agree with it. But technically, you could also go with the person, animal, or thing so offered. Instead of being a person or an animal, say a thing. I'm fasting, so I'm giving up food, so I'm offering this to God. Okay. A little better. Investment. This is a rough one. You can tell money's involved. There was a dozen entries. I picked only the ones that are worth it. 1, the investing of money in capital in order to gain profitable returns. 2, something that is invested. 3, the act or fact of investing or state of being invested, as with a garment. Clearly, vest is a garment, so investment is something to do with a garment. 4, a devoting, using, or giving of time, talent, emotional energy, etc., as for a purpose or to achieve something. Better. Oddly enough, there's a whole bunch of other definitions for investment. The last one, number 4, is the one we're going to go with, because we're not going to go any farther into that craziness. But there's all kinds of, they call, just like sacrifices and all kinds of things. There's a whole bunch of different technical names, like for a part of a boat or something. Really wasn't worth mentioning. Well, let's see how these are all related. You have obedience, which is obeying what someone wants you to do. Just doing what you're told kind of thing. You got sacrifice, which means you're surrendering it, you're giving it away. An investment is you're purposely doing this. Technically, all 3 of those fit. The Lord is asking you to be obedient, so you're investing in a sacrifice. Sacrifice is your time, is your money, is your whatever it may be. You're investing in yourself. Given the fact that the Lord always wants us to to operate the Lord actually wants us to always grow. The Lord actually wants us to always operate on our highest frequency. That's what the Lord wants. What's wrong with growing? Everyone wants to grow. The Lord wants us to grow. The Lord wants our souls to grow. So sometimes we're not on the same page as Him, and He wants us to be obedient and sacrifice. What's interesting about obedience is it's kind of sometimes overused. You can tell by the definition with the submissive compliance. Your boss says, "Oh, I want you to be obedient." The only reason you're obedient is because he pays you. If he didn't pay you, you basically tell him to go pound sand and I'm out of here. That's that. It's very funny. Sacrifice is the same way. A lot of people, like myself, when I work, I am willing to do the short-term sacrifice for the long-term good. Example being is, I know that if I spend an extra 10 hours on something that I'm not supposed to be spending time on, but I know that later it's going to help me in the future. In other words, it may give me less grief in the future. It may cause less problems for us as a company. I'm solving a problem. But if I spend extra of my own time in this, not just company time, my time, it makes my life easier, my life better. So I'm investing in my own well-being in a way. Can't do it all the time, but as I said, investment, sacrifice, they're all interrelated. Investment is very key because people generally do not look at sacrifice as investment. But you're investing in the future. Look at the definition for investment. It's a devoting, using, or giving of time, talent, emotional energy, as for a purpose or to achieve something. Now, mind you, it doesn't say that it would pan out and you'll use it. No different than, I can't be the only one in the world who will pick up a shampoo bottle while I'm in the bathroom and read it while I'm on the can. Gotta do something while you're waiting. But the fact remains is, I invest in reading what's on the back of the can. So if someone in the future puts a gun to my head and says, "What's this, monoglycetate?" Oh, it's in shampoo. Or, why is there aluminum in shampoo? I don't know, but it's in shampoo. As I said, we invest in very interesting things. When I was a child, basically I have a love for computers, so I invested a lot of time in computers. People look at me, now, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do what you do." Well, then invest 20 years. Because what I know, they don't teach in college. That's the weird thing about this. If I may digress a second about college. When I went to college, I was actually going to go to college for computers, and I found out that these people are dangerous. That they weren't really teaching the right things. Mind you, I was already working in the profession temporarily, like a part-time job. So I was actually going paid to do actual real work. And then you go to school and you academically learn it. And it's like, no, this is not even close. Matter of fact, if I turn this to my boss, he'd fire me. There's no practicality in some of it. I'm not saying all of it, because in a lot of cases, example is if you're going to be a doctor or an engineer, you do need certifications, you need to go to college, and yada, yada, yada. Computer profession is not the case. As much as they would like it to be, there's actually no evidence that going to college actually helps. And actually, I think it makes it worse. But one thing that college does do, which I wish people would, I guess a lot of people actually are understanding it. Because a lot less people are sending their kids to college. Because you got this big investment to send someone to college, but if I may digress a second, when you send your kid to college, essentially you expect a return back, an investment. Problem is you can spend $40,000 to send your kid to college, and he's not going to get any better job than $30,000, $40,000 a year. The same thing if he didn't go. So the problem is there's no jobs out there for people who went to college anymore, because they already got all their friends in. Anyway, I don't get involved in that racket. One thing college does do well is like high school. If you don't already know by the time high school is what you're good at or like want to do or even attempt to do. You don't know you like animals, you don't know you like, people, you want to take care of people. You should already know that before you even went to college. College is not going to help you figure out what you want to do with your life. I'm not saying you should go travel the world either. Because those people are, I don't know what to say about them. As I said, I've seen both sides of the fence. When I went to school, I went originally for computers. Let me backtrack a little bit. I went to school after I went out of the military. I got out of the military and then said I was going to college. So I went to go to college, and they said because I did not come right out of high school, I have to take all these tests. So I took every test there was: English test, math test, science test, blah, blah, blah. Generally, oddly enough, I did not do very well. And to do with me per se, it was just, I judged myself more harsher than they judged. But for the most part, what really was the kicker is when I started to go to these classes, because now I have to be in remedial English, remedial math, remedial everything. And there's nothing scarier than having total lost any faith in the system at all, when literally you realize that the people that's in class with you that just 3 months earlier were in high school and got to graduate with a degree, with a diploma from high school, they don't know how to do long division. They don't know how to read. And it's like, wow. I go, as terrible as I am, maybe I didn't read a lot of books when I was in high school. I read a lot of manuals in the military, though, and a lot of computer books. I go, but it's like, wow. I go, so it was really devastating to me. Like, how could I be, you're calling me stupid? Did you see this? And I go, I don't know how this got out of high school. That was a troubling part. Because last time I looked, when I learned long division, that was like 6th grade stuff. You perfect it, I think, by 7th grade. But if you're roughly around there somewhere, I might even be off on that. But I digress. But nowadays, people are actually finding out that from a cost perspective, it's actually not, you're not getting your money back by sending your kid to college. You're actually better off sending them to plumbing school or sending them to be an electrician, one of the trades. I go, because you don't think they make $30, $40 an hour? No, they're not getting paid welfare on that. And to be honest with you, you look at people who get computer degrees. The first job as you're out of school, no one will hire you. You don't know anything. You know what the school told you. So unless you actually are recruiting right out of the school, you're a teacher there and you pay some money, to get recommend kids, you're not going to get a job anywhere. And that's the problem, especially with junior developers. Who wants to hire them? They don't know anything. They didn't invest in themselves. They did the bare minimum. Anyway, that digressed so badly. But we're talking about investments. Usually you invest in yourself. Over the years, I've always invested in myself. Whether every year I learn a new computer programming language or whether I learn a new platform. I learned something because the future keeps on moving. You got to keep on moving with it. Hence the reason why I get to compete with people that are 20 years my junior, and I do usually beat the pants off of them because they don't have the experience I have. Fortunately, right now, life is very interesting because the whole world is at a crossroads. Do we actually listen to the old logic that was around and helped build the world? Or do we all jump on this new AI thing? We've heard this before, AI, the new drug, this new COVID virus that we went over and engineered. Yes, it seems very safe to me. And hopefully you detect the sarcasm in that. But that's the point. We should all pay more attention, because there's a lot of people for years that were saying bad stuff about that before it happened. Big pharma's big pharma. They get their money. But anyway, right now the Lord has me fasting. So to me, I'm in obedience because I'm fasting. But as they say, you're either in obedience or you're sacrificing something. So yes, I'm sacrificing food, but I'm actually investing also. And here's the weirdness of it. The Lord always operates in our highest good. It's always my highest good. And He's not going to tell me anything wrong. So therefore it means that the Lord just wants me to invest in myself. Think about that. Me fasting means balance out my levels, lose a couple pounds, clear my mental state. Seems like all good things to me. So how much of I'm sacrificing food? Oddly enough, when you fast so often, once or twice or 3 times a week or 3 times a month, it doesn't actually bother you as much anymore. Which we're back to how much of it is a sacrifice if you're sacrificing all this much. And I said, it has no real impact on you other than it helps you rebalance your levels out. Example is for the last couple days, I've been, for some reason I've been eating a lot of hard candies. I had a craving, so I ate, bad Jeff, I ate 3 boxes of hard candy. That's about what, 300 pieces? Yeah, or 200 pieces. Bad Jeff. So I'm sure it's about 25,000 calories in 3 days. Probably not good for me. So it was not a shocker when the Lord said, you want to fast. So I can clear that out. But we're back to obedience. There's a very fine line between obedience, sacrifice, and investment. Depends on your point of view. I believe everyone should invest. I believe everyone should invest in their own time. Be careful where you put your time. There's people out there, as I hear about them all the time. They'll talk about all the sports games, and they'll rattle off all the fans. I go, but what have you done for yourself? Last time I looked, you weren't being a sports announcer. Could be in the cards for you, maybe, but problem is people get entrenched in the circuses of the world. When Rome fell, it's because the bread and circuses took over, and everyone was watching that instead of paying attention to the earth, the whole world going crashing down. But that's what the devil does. Distraction. Look over here. Look over here. So I just know that I'm in obedience, and I'm investing in my obedience. I'm being obedient until the Lord tells me not to. From a life perspective, everyone should invest. Everyone should be reading a book a month at least. Everyone should be reading the Bible. I'm not saying you should read every day. Well, maybe you should read every day. Usually I read it 2-3 times a week. I also listen to inspirational podcasts. I listen to all kinds of things. I also make podcasts. I try to do this once or twice a day when I'm inspired to do so. And sometimes the Lord gives me, things to say. As far as, how about the topic being this? I said, I might not be perfect, but I'm investing. I may not be investing wisely, but I'm investing. What I've also noticed over time is the more you invest in something, the better you get at it. I didn't become a master programmer, after 25 years of reading books. You had to do it. You had to break things. You had to blow stuff up. If you think you can't blow stuff up in a computer world, it happens all the time. I would blow stuff up all the time. And I'm actually glad, because it taught me what I can and cannot do. And that's a good thing. Very different than, if I'm an engineer, designing planes. Like, oh, can I do this or not do this? No. Very different. You should always know what you can do and cannot do. So, today I want to talk about obedience, sacrifice, and investment. I believe everyone should be obedient, everyone should sometimes sacrifice, and everyone should be invest in themselves. Oddly enough, I do believe everyone should fast. I think it was the Lord usually asks people to fast once a week, at least one day, if you can. And for those that say they have, blood sugar problems, you may want to go over and go look online or go buy a book on fasting, because 90% of fasting talks about how to get rid of sugar levels and how to balance everything out, because they are out of whack. So that's the number one reason why you do fast. So you may want to relook at that. But I do believe everyone should fast at least once a week. If I remember correctly, if you fast for 5 days in a row, now that's fasting from food, you still drink water. If you fast for 5 days, what happens is your body actually starts reusing dead skin cells, dead cells, period. It does, I forgot what it's called, autophagy. It's where it actually goes over and actually reuses your cells. It's either 5 to 7 days. Usually after 3 days, you don't feel the hunger pains, by the way, at all. But after 7 days, your body's kind of reworking all your stuff, rebuilding your cells, killing the old ones off. And I can't say it, but rumor has it, it also does that same thing with cancer cells. It gets rid of those. So any kind of deformed cell that's in your body, it will eradicate. But we're back to, you may want to go see a doctor. I'm not here to give medical advice. I'm not qualified to do so. However, almost every book on fasting says the same thing. See a doctor. And by the way, if you have problems with your blood levels, you may want to think about it. So, but I do believe everyone should be obedient also, and everyone should invest in themselves. So hopefully you found this informative. Thank you and have a great day.